And
I don't know why.
Not like Daddy Crumb.
No.
we're live, guys. We're live right now.
Oh, shoot.
Thank you so much for joining us. We're back.
That didn't make it, did it?
Yes,
That
it
didn't make
did.
right?
We're back, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Welcome back
We'll
to the
edit that one
Gritty.
out.
We got a lot to cover today. Heaps to cover today. We're live on Twitch right now. Heinzie69 on Twitch. Don't want to miss it. Absolute right. Heck of a lot of fun. Grid's being an absolute clown, as you know, is totally expected. Not surprised. But we do have our boy joining us, community manager back from Daddy Duties. Crumb, hello, mate. Good evening, good sir.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me again. It's always a fun time here. So thanks again.
You're welcome, mate. It's great to have you on. It's crazy. Look, we got a lot to cover. We got a lot to cover.
My face is already hurting from this, so it's great. I can tell it's gonna be a good one.
I learned my lesson last time. I'm not going to quote that again. I learned my lesson. We don't talk about that.
What were you not quoting?
Nope, nothing. I'm not saying it. I'm not falling for that bait. I'm a smarter fish than that. Not too much.
So he
but
says.
I'm smarter than that.
So
I don't know. We got
says.
baby Grit over here. I don't know what you look like. You just were born yesterday. So
I took it off my chin. I put it on the side of my head. That's what happened.
Oh my goodness, guys. Okay, let's quickly talk. A couple of quick things we're going to cover straight off the bat. First thing is, how is little baby Crumb? I'm sure everyone wants to hear how baby Crumb's going right now.
oh, thank you. I really appreciate that. She's doing awesome. She's happy, healthy as always. So it's a great journey. I mean, I can't say enough of how awesome it is. She's just like starting to like be able to like touch things and pick things up for herself, and like it's soon. I'm happy right now that I can put her down and she's still where I leave her. But I have a feeling in the next like couple of months that is not going to be the case, and she's just going to be a terror, just racing across the house because she's already just like ready to move. She's flailing her legs all over the place. She loves kicking. She's either going to be a soccer player or a swimmer or both, because man, she's got some serious leg power.
Polo?
That's awesome.
Kind of both.
Dude.
I'm glad everything's going well, mate. Very, very happy for you. We all are very, very happy for you. We're glad everything's going really well.
Appreciate it.
Other thing to cover, of course, guys, we're talking about a game, and whilst we're a bit heated with a few topics we want to cover today, there's something more important because this is a game. This ain't real life. Crumb, you guys are obviously earning charity. You guys are working with Extra Life again at the moment. He didn't ask me to do this, guys. I'm just pimping it because he didn't ask. Straight up in chat right now. There's the link. There's the link. It has nothing to do with him joining us today. I didn't even know, of course, until a few days ago. We asked him about a week and a half ago to join us. So this is not a prerequisite. This is just the right thing to do. The link is in chat, guys. Smack it out there at the moment. It's for UC Davis. Is that right? I think you guys are earning for UC Davis again?
Children's Hospital. Exactly. Yeah. It's through Extra Life and Children's Medical Network. Really, really great cause. 100% of the money goes straight to the hospital and things like that. So really, really cool. This year, I will quickly mention that we're doing some awesome in-game stuff for all the different milestones. We've already passed the first milestone. So there'll be some cool in-game goodies for that. I know people over the years have been asking for, hey, like when can we do get some free stuff in Swugga for doing this? Now you can. This year we did it. So
let's go. Get in there.
And we're off to a massive start. So thanks everyone who's donated so far. Really appreciate it. And if you go check out the channel, it's in that link that Heinz just put in the chat. Some of the other folks from the studio are streaming as well, not just me. Of course, I'm streaming.
Cool.
So, but if you want to see some other folks, check out that channel, and you'll maybe see some other CG folks as we lead up to the big day. About 56 days, if I remember correctly, from now, we'll be doing our big stream like we do every year. So, thanks, Heinzie, for letting me promote that. Really appreciate it. That was not discussed at all, but thanks for letting me shill that.
It was absolutely not. It's it's the only shilling going on today, ladies and gentlemen. That's about it, because we need to get down and dirty, and we're going to get serious, and we're going to get a little bit heated, because I think everyone else, there's quite a few of the community that's a little bit heated as well. We have a serious topic to talk about, of course. Last time we spoke to you was on the eve of the release of these things called Datacrons. And there has been some real polarizing things said about...
I lost you there for like 2 seconds.
I'm back again. We need to talk Datacrons. We got a few questions to ask about that. We got a lot to cover. And there's certainly a lot of things that there's a lot of opinions out there, both positive and negative. There's a lot of negative, though. But look, I want your opinion, Crumb, if I can ask you from CG's perspective. So far, since the rollout of Datacrons, they're obviously been in game for quite some time now. What's your opinion on the positives and negatives of the Datacrons so far from CG's side of things?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, it's been a hot topic in the community, and it's a huge topic inside the studio as well. Like they're watching them very, very closely, and there's been, I think, every week we have at least multiple discussions where we're talking about what's going on with Datacrons and what our next sort of steps are and things like that. I think. More than ever, we're watching this very closely to see how it impacts the wider game, but also how the feature itself is being received. And I will say, I've definitely, whenever I see feedback, I'm forwarding it to the team, letting them know. Again, just always a note on that. Make sure your feedback is productive and helpful. And hey, you catch more flies with honey, I'll say. But I understand there's some strong feelings about that. But I think the main thing I can tell you about today is like the areas that we're really watching and that a lot of the conversations have been shaped around. I don't have anything to say like, hey, this is what's happening with Datacron. There's no announcements yet. If I knew that, I would be shouting that from the rooftops already of what's coming next. But I think the major things here is like the length of the timer the Datacrons are around. Is that too short? Is that too long? There's the kind of tied into that is the sort of mental complexity or the mental load that Datacrons add to the game. I think there's a question you brought up the other day, and I think we might talk about it in a bit around like territory wars officers and like how do they handle Datacrons. There's an extra layer of all this stuff that has to be thought about when you're going into a territory war now. Like how much of that is too much? How much of that is enough to keep things interesting? There's a lot of like balancing acts we have to get through here. I think we'll have a better idea of the sort of snapshot of how we're thinking about that once we get through our first full cycle of Datacron set 1. So that's when it all gets kind of munged up at Datacron set 4 launches. I think that's kind of where we're going to see how much has territory war changed, things like that, because we'll have like multiple kind of territory wars we can look at and say, okay, this is what it looks like. But of course, like with the first one launching, it's supposed to be a system where there are multiple Datacrons set together, and we didn't have that for the first one. So like, was it how much of that does that shape the data of like there was not that much, but there was that too much, all that kind of stuff. And in the end, like the other piece of it as well is like the availability of Datacrons. Like how much do we want to give out the materials? How much of that should be focused on conquest still? The ratios of the different stores and all that stuff. There's a lot of different ways that we are rolling out those materials. I remember from the Road Ahead post, there's a massive like layer of that, the whole thing that was just like, here's all the places you can get all these different materials. And it's like the initial thing is very overwhelming for sure. And so we want to try and like now it's kind of settling down and people have the chance to sort of figure out like where they want to farm those things and how it all works. Like, I think we'll see some really good data on that. That being said, I think we're, the next couple of weeks here for sure, we've got a lot of big meetings around Datacrons and their future. So as soon as I got more information, I will definitely share it with you guys on that. But just know I hear your feedback on that. I've escalated that to the team repeatedly around what people's thoughts are around the different aspects of Datacron. So please keep that coming. I honestly just make sure you're bringing it to the forefront on the forums, on Reddit, to the content creators here, letting Heinz and Grid know and how they feel. Of course, they can forward that information to me and sort of collate that as well. It's super helpful because you guys touch so many people, obviously, in your communities, and so it's always great to get like a snapshot of each of you folks. So keep that coming. Keep letting us know how you feel about it, and we really appreciate all the feedback so far. So thanks guys for making my job easy because it's been not hard to find feedback on Datacrons.
Oh, we've got plenty. We've got plenty. Don't you worry about that. We have plenty. Grid, you want to go first? You go first, please.
Yeah. Did you want me to touch on that last question that I mentioned first?
Yes, please.
Given it flows in pretty easy.
Yeah,
okay.
Go for it.
So this is a question that is a bit more of it's both a question and just kind of getting a confirmation. We just we've just like you're saying we speak to our community quite a bit and we hear that a lot. And we try and pass it to you as much as possible. And you just mentioned it, so I do appreciate it. The best places to give this feedback is the forum posts, Reddit, to us content creators. We can pass it to you guys. Is there just we want to make sure there's the understanding, I guess, of kind of the tone of the feedback.
Sure.
Is it being kind of understood that the feedback is would you guys, I guess, say are you feeling that it's mostly negative? Are you guys feeling kind of good about how Datacrons are coming out? It's just, we want to make sure, at least from my perspective and definitely with my community. So this is more, you're saying represent our community. There's a little bit more of that, but you guys are saying like in the recent forum post was based off your guys' feedback. Here's some changes that we're going to be enacting. And I know you don't know too many of those, so I'm not saying that, but the list was then like, you can get closer to a level 9 Datacron and you can buy it more in shipments. And sometimes that kind of stings because this is the newest content. And right now where Conquest is not going, I can't interact with it, unless I buy something. And that just kind of hurts a little bit. And so we want to make sure that it's feedback like that is getting kind of felt and understood, that it can be negative. We understand that you guys are working on it and watching that.
Absolutely. We need criticism here, right? Like, let's be clear, right? It is incredibly valuable for us to get a snapshot of how people are feeling around this stuff. And I think I wish we could be more upfront around like where we're in the midst of like how we're feeling about Datacrons and what their sort of trajectory is. And right now it is just mostly like we need to just gather all this data together because while it's been out for a while, there's still a lot of stuff that's up in the air and volatile right now. And it's a complicated system, right? Like no one will argue against that. So I think to just like make sure that we are being smart about this and not just shooting from the hip on a lot of stuff, we want to be sort of metered. But I do hear you in saying that like, it doesn't necessarily feel like when we talk about those like kind of slow steps that we're taking forward, feel like we're listening to you guys. But I will tell you for sure. Yeah. Like that is all that kind of feedback and that kind of frustration out there. We see and we hear all the time from players. And so we're thinking, how do we address that stuff? And I think, with future Datacron sets, there are a lot of changes we want to do with this. We made it into a system that can be so flexible, right? That like, hey, what we did in Datacron set 1 can be totally thrown out the window. And we can try something very different with set 4 and set 5 or set 2 or set 3. But again, we don't want to just change everything so fast that we're not getting solid data on like what the actual experience is. People say a lot of things, and I want to believe what they say is what they do. But the reality is there's a vocal group of people who will say one thing, and then the reality is some people do something very different in game. That could be true sometimes. It could not be true sometimes. It's all over the place and where that lies, right? So all I'm trying to say is, I guess most importantly, is that we want to verify what folks are saying is also part of like what we're seeing from the data and from the experience side of things. Because we definitely want to listen to players and what the experiential piece of it is, but we also need to make sure that like we are capturing the right kind of feedback and the right kind of data, and that actually is meaningful for what's happening to a larger swath of the player base as well. So I hear you guys for sure. I know there's frustration on this, and it's something that like we're trying to take into account for future Datacron sets. And that's the kind of benefit of the system. We can like wipe clean what we've done previously and start with something very different in the future as well.
Okay. Cool. I want to say I appreciate that. And thank you for at least clarifying that you understood there is negative feedback being given your way.
Really? I never heard that.
We're getting great feedback. Everybody loves it. We're like, no, like what's going on?
Great feedback can still be negative, right? Like that's the
if it's being constructive.
Feedback shouldn't be just positive. Like you learn from when people you don't like something versus if they just say, oh, I like all this stuff. It's like, well, that doesn't help me be better, right? Like it is real criticism that we need to be having on these, like why about it? And I guess like that'd be my advice to people is like try and distill down to what is the thing that makes you feel like not happy about the system. Why do you not enjoy engaging with this system? Like if you say Datacrons are bad and you just want it removed from the game, like cool, that doesn't help me like build a case for the team, right? Like there needs to be a concrete experiential piece to it of like, why when I interact with this am I having a hard time with it? Or why when I'm interacting with it does it feel too much mental load for me or too much work for me to dissolve, like figure out what does good look like in those things, right? Like it like I don't want to just paint sunshine and rainbows on this thing because we need to grow, and that's the ability of the system is to evolve quickly. So let's be as constructive as we can about this, because the things which you don't like are the things we need to hear about the most. Like that's the honest answer, right? Like it's not it's great when we hear the things we got things right. We love to hear that. Obviously, it's great for the ego, but we need to focus on the things that are wrong and the things that are didn't quite land up as we want them to be, or they're too confusing or just too difficult for players to handle. So to try and dive down, like take a step back and go, what about this actually frustrates me? What about this actually is the problem that I feel like And then if you have a solution for it, great. If you don't, that's fine too, right? Like just saying, this is the pain point I'm having right now. And I think that is tremendously helpful for the team to try and dive into that stuff. You know, like, something this is my Crumb's advice for the week here is like, it's something that I am trying to internalize personally is like, take actions towards the goals you're trying to achieve. And that is a very simple thing to say and a hard thing to do, right? Of like, if I want my wife to let me go out and hang out with the boys on Friday night, I can't just go to her and say, I'm leaving, bye, peace, right? It's like, there are actions I can take along the way to achieve that goal. And when I get into, maybe an argument with my wife and I think about what is my goal in this situation? Is it to go out with my friends on the weekend? Well, then the action I should take is very different than the gut reaction I often feel to just like, kind of lash out or be frustrated around that stuff, right?
It's too easy. It's too easy to just go, these things are like, it's too easy to just say that. That doesn't help. But with that being said,
surface level. Try and dive deeper is all I'm trying to say with that. There's my advice for the week of. I like it.
I can give you a couple of examples of things that I think are certainly a negative. The first thing is the temporary nature of them. I think that's probably the fundamental crux. Everything about this game is a collection game. It really is. It's a collection. You unlock it, you evolve it, and you build it. And I think a lot of these temporary natures of these and these outrageous stats that we get, and some of them are absolutely outrageous. They really are. They really discredit all the work that people have done in their rosters for so long. And really, you're leasing them. You're leasing stats. And I think that goes against the fundamental principles of how everyone's played this game since they started. I think that's certainly a comment that's been made.
It is a structural piece to the whole thing, and I think I just saw Solo in the chat there. Like there are positive and negatives to that structure, right? Like the temporary nature means that you are not screwed over forever, as Solo put it. But also there is like a balance, right, between the game should feel dynamic and changing over time, but it also shouldn't feel so fast that, like, as you're saying, where it doesn't feel valuable to invest in long term, right? Like there needs to be a balance between that stuff where it's like, this is interesting for me to use, and I have the capacity to actually understand this in over a period of time. As you said, like our game has been for so long has been about these static things that people have been able to dive into super in depth. We have like an amazing community who's so smart about every kind of matchup and stuff like that. So how much of this should disrupt that so it's not stale, but then how much of it should then stay the same so it's not just like I feel overwhelmed and frustrated that I just don't know what to do in my Grand Arena, right? Or my territory war comes up and now my officers are pulling their hair out because they can't spend the time to solve it, because by the time they do that, then it's over, and then it feels like it's ephemeral and it doesn't matter, right? So like there is a middle ground here we have to hit where, and we knew from the start these were going fast and that the timeline was probably too short for these because of these exact reasons. So, but I don't think like the fundamental structure of Datacrons is like broken or a problem. The idea of it is good. It's just the implementation that we have to just try to nail right into that right sweet spot. So like I hear what you're saying. I think the temporal nature is inherent to the Datacron and why it should be there, but it shouldn't feel like the way you just described it, right? There's a good way to do that.
I get that you want to make it dynamic. I understand that. I absolutely understand that, we don't want to get locked into something we're stuck with that like we've had. I totally get that. The problem is, as you said, at the moment, for the next 3 months, we're leasing turn meter, right? And that to me, it's just for people. And the other point that I've got is what I loved about, for instance, the 6.mod rollout. Let's use that as an example. It was still limited in what you could actually get. So therefore, when you use them, they were of great value. Omicrons are very similar to that as well. So when you actually have them, you need to make sure you use them strategically. Okay. In this case, it worked out better. People didn't like Datacrons at the start, but they were okay. And then the unlimited packs came in. And that just cheapened the whole experience of that and discredited a lot of that, because all of a sudden people could just go absolutely crazy and just get a stupid amount of stuff, roll stupid amounts. It wasn't as limited as mods were originally, which I thought the beauty of that was that you could increase your mods and improve the value of your roster. The lease aspect thrown in with, hey, let's just get as many as you want, rip your wallet out, let's go, actually cheapened that experience. I feel anyway, personally. And this is me. You know that I play this game the way I play this game, Crumb. This is not a surprise. But a lot of people have gone, you know what? This is the final step. I don't want to buy a temporary nature product. I want to buy something that I can earn and unlock and enjoy, and for now and in the future as well. And I think that that's put a lot of people off, and unfortunately, that's also put a massive strain on a lot of guilds because players have just gone, you know what, I'm done, and I don't like it. It's a horrible thing to say because we want our communities to grow, and I mean the community is one of the best parts of this game. It really is. I've never seen a more loyal group of anything, but I just feel like they've just been, and they feel like that they've just been let down, and they've been stitched up by a wallet. And you know, theory crafting was a huge part of this game, and it just seems to be taken away more and more. That's my rant, and I'm sorry if I've gotten a little bit over the top and I've gone off kilter here, but I mean, we're engaging with feedback,
right? Or like you to your point though, right? Of like, I don't feel like theory crafting is not screen apparently in a lovely position. Am I back now?
Sorry.
Okay,
no, that was just the Twitch. That wasn't you.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool. Phew. Just,
well, unfortunately, we were frozen like that. But
kangaroo
I thought I had a stroke for a second.
No.
but to your point though, Heinze, I think like Datacron should not feel like you can theory craft less. Like that is like a great piece of feedback where it's like I don't feel like, even though there's more complexity and there's more things to do, it's actually narrowed the amount of energy that I can put into this game because it is another layer that said about that mental load piece, right? Of just like at some point I can't think about this fast enough and solve these problems fast enough, so then I just have to pull back. Right.
Yeah.
That's something like we can talk about for sure, and something that can be tuned with Datacrons, which is a benefit of the system. But it's got to feel like it's the right value proposition for someone who's free to play, for someone who's spending, for someone who's in the middle, for all the whole spectrum of players. Right. It has to feel like there is value for them to get out of this system, no matter how you engage with it. And I think that's the mark we got to hit on the dartboard. That is challenging for sure. We don't want to. The goal of Datacrons is to not stop people from theory crafting this game, right? Like, and that's, I mean, not into the extreme, like the strawman argument of like, don't theory craft at all. That's our goal, just to simplify everything. It's that it should be providing an interesting layer to the game on top of this. And like, if it's too complicated, you get that problem, as you're saying, where you're just like, I have to disengage because I just don't know what to solve. I don't know what the right answer is anymore. I don't even know like necessarily the right or wrong answer. I don't even know the right direction to go in that feels like good.
Slap a Datacron on there.
You know, like that's where we've got to try and figure out how do we land that properly so that it doesn't feel that overwhelming.
Yeah, I mean, it certainly needs to really be looked at. And as I said, I think the unlimited pack nature just made it ridiculous. Yeah. It really got to the point where I know people were dropping, just to give you an idea, people were dropping 10 volts on packs just to get Datacron material to sift through them all over and over and over again. And I mean, that's great for them. Good on them. Congratulations. But then you've got free-to-play players, of course, and there's a huge base of them, and they're fantastic, loyal people that have loved this game from the start. They just feel ripped off. They just feel stitched up, and they can't compete. And if they feel like they can't compete, well, they're not going to engage. Not just in Datacrons, but the game overall. And that's the last thing we need right now. That's totally. Just my opinion. So, again... Look, sorry, go Grid. I'll shut up for a minute.
Yeah, if I can just tag team right off of that. If we could then just, if this is an easy example of like constructive criticism, because I know there's a lot of people that are just like you said, Crumb, they just dropped Datacrons are bad, they're stupid, I quit. And it's like, that doesn't, okay, I get you're upset, you don't like them. I can throw you on the side of you don't want Datacrons, but like there's a layer of being able to say like, why specifically? If there's a chance to tailor, if there's a chance to do something cool, and if there's not, at least we have the specific information that says this can't be changed, and then maybe it needs to be removed, or at that point a decision has to be made from CG. An easy example with that is saying like how Heinze is saying, look, people opened up the wallets. That's what happened. And I feel like the problem was then on the flip side, free to play didn't even have an option. Like, I mean, yeah, we had crystals. If you happen to bank some crystals, you got an option, but like, maybe while Conquest is down, a temporary like Datacron map little thingy-mabobber gets opened up so you can at least continue to kind of farm like Datacron battle nodes, just like how we have mod battles, maybe Datacron battles. So there's at least an option for free to play to kind of do something in the meantime, instead of people just opening up their wallets and being able to buy as much as they want. And then free to play is like, well, I got some during Conquest and that's all I get.
Yeah, I mean, Conquest should be the primary space where you're getting those resources. And there's a lot of discussion around the balance of those materials, as I was mentioning earlier, the duration of all this stuff. So the complexity of it, I think all that stuff is a big piece of it that we got to figure out and land properly, because it shouldn't feel like you are just out of the running for that, and that like you just don't have any opportunities to do so. But there should also just be a time where that cutoff happens, and that like you don't have access to those resources anymore. Like they're because of the fundamental temporary nature of the thing, that has to be laid down properly though. So I hear your feedback on that for sure.
All right, okay. Cool.
I just want to make sure that one's understood. And if I may, people understanding this conversation as being CG apologists are dramatically misunderstanding what a business relationship should be. You guys don't open up the door and just absolutely dunk on someone. You guys have to talk about what problems are. If Crumb came into this chat and all we did was say, hey, you guys suck, go be better, what does that do for anyone? If you just want me to say that, great, congratulations, I just did. But that
I'll just grab a sign. Anything. I'll stand outside the office that just says, congrats, we suck. And it's like, okay,
guys, can we not suck anymore? Yes, I can say that. Like when I'm mad, I'm just be like, curse you, CG. You suck, do something. Like I'm mad. But if you want to solve problems, you guys, it's conversations, okay? This isn't CG apologists. This is called a freaking professional conversation. I'm sorry, I just wanted to get that out so people understand.
Yeah, if this is what apologist looks like, interesting.
We're pretty apologists. Let's be honest, if that's the case. Yeah. Anyway,
look, sorry, I just wanted to get that out there.
So look, let's get down to some other questions, because I think I'm sure that this is going to be discussed. Just over and over and over again between now and then. But look, certainly a lot of things need to be improved. Obviously, you're saying that they will be looked at and improved. That's all we need. Unlimited packs, please, mate. For the love of God, never do that again, please. That would be great. That's just my opinion. And yeah, free-to-players, they need some love when it comes to this stuff, so they at least get a chance. I think that pretty well covers it from our point of view anyway, Crumb. Take it or leave it, mate. But, hey, that's the best that we can put forward. And hopefully it improves, because we love our game and we want it to improve and get better. That's what we're all here to do. One question I did have, though, of course, there was release of the Chapter 3 Datacrons, of course, last week. I think it was, Crumb, if I'm right. And, of course, we found out the abilities in those, of course, the faction abilities and the character abilities. Do we have any idea what the other bonus stats will be in the Chapter 3 Datacrons? The level 1, level 2... in between ones, because I don't believe that's noted anywhere.
Oh, yeah, we can get those out there. I'll talk to Meathead on Monday and we can get those together. Those should be easy to us to share. No problem.
You don't mind, that'd be great. I mean, and if that could be released as well in future when you're releasing the next chapters, that would be really helpful. It
should have been. Well. I thought it was until you messaged me about it, and then I realized we didn't. So that is something. Yes, we will include in the future for sure.
That would be great. That'd be absolutely fantastic. All right, now let's get into some of the questions from the community. Guys, we've been collecting a lot of questions. We've covered what we needed to do. Let's get into the next fun one, which we covered over just very, very slightly before when you joined us last time, and that was gear. Gear's certainly been a big thing going on in the game. Grid, I know that you're a proponent of talking about the gear crunch that we currently have in game, mate. Do you want me to leave you with this one? Because honestly, I don't think I'd do it as much justice as you would, mate. So do you want to quickly discuss that?
No, absolutely. So it should come as no surprise. Obviously, there's a lot of questions about gear. There's a lot of talk about gear. There's gear changes. There's just some quality of life stuff with gear. There's a lot of questions that people have been talking about gear. So, I mean, we could open it up just very vaguely saying, can you talk to us about gear? But keeping, I'll mention a couple of specific points, but we would love to hear just anything about gear if we could. But I'll mention specifically, since it's so relevant with the conversation we're just having with Datacrons. Datacrons are now, we understand that Datacrons they're very powerful. They're something that our roster basically needs. And in order to use those Datacrons, you have to be at a minimum, if I remember correct, it's a minimum of Relic 3 at all to use it. And then you need Relic 5 for the affiliation one? And then Relic 7
it
for
scales
the
up as you go along, yeah.
Right. And so what happens is a lot of people have to make a decision between making a squad with, for example, they have that one character who hasn't made it to Gear 12 yet, right? So with the introduction of Datacrons, the problem now becomes, okay, I have to get almost everybody at a minimum to Relic 3. Now, is that a bad thing? No. but it's well, inherently, is it just a bad thing? Not exactly. We can talk more about it. We'll leave it that way. But
Sure.
the problem is like people are being forced to decide, do I use the team that I want, which happens to have a Gear 12 very useful character, or do I ixnay all of that and I have to use a Datacron? And so the gear almost as a byproduct, the gear became worse because now you are having to take some of those characters that maybe you're like, I could leave you at Gear 12. You now can't. You have to take them to Relic 3. So that gear is becoming even exponentially worse. There's Kairos everywhere, Carbantes everywhere, stun guns everywhere. There's all this stuff everywhere. Can we have like any bit of information? Is any gear change coming? Is there any type of lightening up, maybe giving more rewards, maybe a daily reward thing, just something to kind of alleviate this gear crunch that we're feeling now from relics, which, I mean, hey, we appreciate that level 1 piece was dropped off of, what is it, relic 8 and 9. I mean, it's nice, but like there's a much bigger problem that we got to address, I think, with gear. And so, do you got anything with gear, I guess? I mentioned specifics. I'm sorry if that was like a vomit, but just like, we got anything with gear? Can we talk it a little bit?
Yeah, and it's the changes to that relic stuff has not happened yet, but I don't have any major announcement today to say like, hey, we're changing these things around gear. Well, I will say it is an active conversation inside the team. I mean, along with Datacrons, it is something we are talking about constantly. I said, like, I think like we have some things from phase 1 that we still need to wrap up that we talked about when we initially announced the whole thing. So we need to figure out where we can land some of those things as well. But yeah, I mean, I think I hear you guys. I know gear and Datacrons has exacerbated that feeling a bit as well with just trying to figure out how do you manage all your resources. It's fundamentally that's what this game is about. It's about managing your resources smartly and put it in the right space. So I wish I could say, hey, these are happening tomorrow and we're going to solve this thing, but there are, we're working on changes. There's stuff we'd like to do in the future. And so there's some phase 1 stuff that we still need to wrap up. So hopefully we can talk about it in the next couple updates. Like, we've got right now, and we're working on a road ahead that maybe we can talk about that in, depending on where it all lands. I just want to make sure again that I don't announce something that's not ready, and then I get you guys all excited about something that then doesn't happen for a while or gets changed and the details aren't finalized, right? So as soon as I have details around the gear change, I will tell you all about them because I hear about it constantly. So yeah, as soon as I have details, I will tell you as soon as I can.
I think he's sick of us. I think he's sick of us bitching about it, Grid. So he wants to release something, so we don't have to keep bloody annoying him about it. I think, but
hey, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Something. Yeah. It's just it feels like it's been a long time, and just. I mean, as long as we have a hope that something will change, I guess I'll take that. But like, we just want it sooner rather than later.
Yeah. No, I hear you.
All right. Okay.
I hear you.
All right, cool. All right, let's move on to the. Let's
I wish I had a better answer for you right now.
Yeah, no, okay, no, that's right. We'll annoy him next time. Don't worry. We'll annoy him if he's coming back because he might hate us from now on after all this crap today. Hey, look, let's ask community questions, right? We hit our Discord servers over the last few weeks. We said, Crumb's coming on, guys. Give us your questions, and we've tried to cherry pick the most relevant questions that we think that people really, really want to know. So we're going to start diving into those now. We got a good little list of goodies, but I'm going to start this one off first if I can. This was a really cool question there. This one is, why are Omicrons not activated in Squad Arena considering Datacrons and Zetas both are? Crumb, is there a chance we can get the Omicrons activated as well, considering everything else is?
It's just an interesting question. I mean, Zetas were always active in there because they were available in all modes, right there across the board. We talked with the team when we were working on Datacrons, and I definitely was championing that, saying that like we need a space for people to try those Datacrons out, and I thought regular arena was a good spot for that. After Crystals moved out of that, there's a little bit less tension on that, so I thought like this would be a great space for people to try that stuff out. That is like the thought process we had so far. Omicrons though are mode specific, right? And we hadn't thought about adding them to arena at all. It's a possibility it happens in the future, but it's not something it's in the cards at the moment. But that's the logic, right? Like we had Zetas, and we thought about, hey, we got to have a place for them to try Datacrons. Let's add those in. Omicrons, we want them to be special to those modes, and maybe there's a reason we could add that someday, but it's not something we've talked about right now at the moment.
What about
you go? Sorry, Grid.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, again, hey, throwing out an option. What if it was like something where you could select like Squad Arena was blank, and then you could tick which things you wanted activated. Do you want all Omicrons activated? Do you want Zetas activated? Well, Zetas maybe are inherent. I don't know. But like, do you want to activate Omicrons? Do you want to activate Datacrons? Do you want to activate even Zetas maybe?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to like, nothing's free, right? So we have to figure out what do we spend our time on? Do we think that's a worthy quality of life thing versus something else? Right now we're focused on mods specifically, and we want to dive into as much mod quality of life stuff for the next title update. So if we find it's a priority, then like, yeah, sure. But is it above a priority all the rest of the things we really want to do right now is always the fundamental question we have to ask. And like, it's not an answer saying, hey, yeah, we're definitely not, or we are going to do that. It's just like right now, it's not something we've considered as a need above the other stuff that we want to do. But I mean, like, it's a great idea. I hadn't really considered it until you guys had brought it up to me. But like, it's something we could talk about internally for sure.
I like it. Something else to throw in there as well. And it's popped up on chat as well. Adding to that as well, is Fleet Loadout somewhere up on the priority list as well? Somewhere there, Crumb, by any chance?
Definitely is. It's definitely one of the many quality of life things that are in the backlog. And I've talked to the feature producer and many folks about Fleet Loadouts, and I could show you the Jira task that is in the backlog that says, for the love of God, add fleet Loadouts. So
all right, cool. No worries, that's fine. Look, let's talk TB. Is there another map at some point, or are these the only maps we're going to have for a while, Crumb? Anything from a TB point of view? We seem to be obviously at the point now where we're in a bit of a stalemate. We need to dramatically increase our guild's GP by like double or triple, I think, to have a chance of maxing the current ones out. Is there a chance maybe of some more PvE stuff down the track, or is it like raids where you said, look, we're not going to invest the time in them anymore because we just don't see the value in it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think either for both raids or territory battles that it's like off the table. I think that the current structure we've had with them is probably just not sustainable, as we talk about, like something like HSTR, right? Like, super cool. It takes us a while to generate this thing, and then it gets solved in a couple months, and then it becomes irrelevant after a time. And we could do something like challenge tier Rancor, where we crack up the numbers and make it harder, but it just like doesn't feel fulfilling and interesting, right? Like, that's not what you guys want us to spend our time on. So that being said, I think like PvE is definitely something we want to look at. We've done a lot of PvP stuff. We kind of go in different phases of the game that we want to try and focus on, and we kind of keep moving around the wheel of things, of areas that we want to look at in the game. And I think like PvE is definitely something we need to start talking about in the future. What does that look like? What does a new PvE experience look like for us beyond conquest and things like that? But what of the raids or territory battles? What would a modern version of what that would look like? So it's definitely something we will said as we kind of move from the PvP stuff we've been doing, we definitely want to look at like what areas of PvE that we can dive into. So potentially that's a TP, potentially it's a lot of different things, right? So it's definitely not off the table. It's the same with raids. I think there's like the core experience of a raid is really cool, right? You get to go and face off against this like really amazing battle. You get to like fight off these really iconic characters like the Rancor or Trey and the Triumvirate. Like, all that stuff is really cool, and it's a really like core Star Wars experience. And we want to make sure we keep doing that. So we have to figure out like, what does that look like? And of course, like, I'm not here to announce something today of like, hey, by the way, this is happening. But PvE is definitely something we're looking into for sure.
Don't Grid. He's holding out. He's giving me hope, mate. There might be a Death Star raid at one point down the track. Don't do this to me, Crumb. Don't do this to me. Don't do this. Don't give me hope. Don't sell me hope that we'll get a Death Star raid one day. All right, okay, we'll come back.
I see a lot of people in the chats echoing the same thing.
Confirmed. That's what all the YouTube videos are going to be now.
Yeah, sure. Great.
Raid confirmed? Question mark?
Question mark?
There's your YouTube thumbnail.
Yeah. The last 30 seconds it says no, it's not confirmed.
Subject to change. All right, let's move on, shall we? That old chestnut. Grid, do you want to ask about Jabba, mate?
Yeah. So obviously we're getting Jabba. Pretty excited about that one. We wanted to talk specifically in regards to he's getting his own TB node, which is just kind of an interesting one because that's I believe the first node that's going to require what would be a galactic legend. Will there be other GL only nodes added in the future? And also, how much do you know how much that? Never mind. I'm gonna that's too much numbers. We're just gonna stick with this part.
Let's just stick with this one. Okay, we'll start there, and if you got more, it's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean the goal was to give Jabba like some strong utility out of the gate with some very specific things. Like each of the kind of GLs, sometimes focus on different areas of the game, and we wanted Jabba to do that specifically with territory battles. So yeah, I mean, there's not going to be other GLs added to nodes or anything like that. Like this is a separate piece on the map that'll be just for Jabba. It's not like taking over an existing mission or anything like that. It'll be its own thing. Just like if you have Jabba, you can get some additional value by when you're doing territory battles and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm like super excited for Jabba. I think he's going to be really cool. I've seen a lot of really cool stuff for how he's coming together. So I cannot wait to like show you guys some of the animations and the kit and stuff like that. It's gonna be super cool.
Oh,
awesome.
I like it. Speaking of which, of course, we got some of the first requirements out, Crumb. And I have myself a pretty thick piggy. I got myself a pretty thick piggy, right? Now, I'll try and do it. I don't know how it'll go, but I'll try. Okay, you get the point, right? So I got a pretty thick piggy, and of course, Mob Enforcer is the only Hutt cartel, as well as Embo, I think, as well, not in this set of requirements. And I'm gonna obviously look in the crystal ball and say that that's not too far away from changing. But is there a chance maybe for some sort of a kit update for Gamma to make him obviously a little bit more thicker with Jabba, and even Mob Enforcer maybe get some love as well, possibly? I know that you can't talk specifics, but is that off the table, or is there a possibility maybe?
No, I mean these are when we release Galactic Legends like this, it's an opportunity for us to kind of go back and look at some of these characters and figure out like which of these could use a little bit of a lift and things like that. And I think Gamorrean Guard is just exists because Jabba exists, right? Like there is there's no world where you see. Yeah. Well, I guess that's not fair. Mando has changed all that. Just kidding. I take that all back. Now that we've got Gamorrean Guards all over the place, but originally that's where you see him at, right? So I think it is an opportunity for us to go back to that and try and look at these characters and see which ones can we give a little buff, which can we make them interesting to keep on the team as well, because it feels very Star Wars to have Gamorrean Guard on your team, but his kit is very old. So do we need to give him a little update? Do we need to add an Omicron? Do we need to do just something do we need to do a whole overhaul of the kit? It comes down to probably our bandwidth and just as we get through the Galactic Legends, what do we want to do? But yeah, I think there's a possibility for those for sure. I think we got to figure out what's the core Jabba team going to look like and who fits on that. And then if we really want to pull in Gamorrean Guard, we probably got to give them a little love, Mob Enforcer, those kind of folks and stuff like that. So for sure, it's definitely not off the table, I'll say.
I like it. Now we need to get back. We need to get back to the D word again quickly. Just Datacron. There's another question for that one. Greer, this was thrown out there by the chat.
Kind of a simple one, but a kind of a high, almost quality of life one. But I don't know. Maybe it's intentional. Can the Datacron rerolls be tuned to ensure you're not doubling up on an ability that you already have? Is there a way that we can just, instead of getting wasting one of our options being the same one, can we just get 3 different ones? That's kind of the reason. We're re-rolling.
Yeah,
so,
I don't know what the specifics are on the math behind the whole thing. I'd have to talk to someone on the UX or UI team the economy side of why those are choices and why they're not. I don't have a good answer for that one, unfortunately. I mean, it's a possibility we could change it, but I assume there's probably a reason why those show up there.
I'd love it if you could.
Now I'm gonna premise this question by saying this did not come from me. Okay, this is from Zoltane out there. Hand on heart, right? Hand on heart. This
saw him in the chat. He's hanging out.
Did not come from me. This question did not come from me. This came from Zoltane in chat. Obviously, we know the test program is closed. Okay. Could one be reopened in future for various content creators was the question. Not my question. Let's be clear. This is Zoltane. He threw that out there. I've got nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's I think we want to look at bringing the test program back at some point in the future for sure. I think the problem that I always see with bringing in content creators is it puts them in a really hard spot, right? You have 2 different masters you're trying to serve. You're trying to talk about the game and you're trying to tell players about what they should think about different things, but you also now have this layer of information that you have to block out from your brain and say, I actually don't know that in this conversation. And I think that's hard to do. It's stressful. You always feel like you're right on the line. I mean, it's what my life is all the time, and I wouldn't wish it on other folks. Just what can I say? What can I say? And I think it's just, while they're great resources for touching the community and getting feedback, I think it just puts them in a really difficult corner to like not be able to say, okay, I know this is about to get fixed, or I know this character is going to come out that's going to change that, how you feel about something, but I have to then like fake that I'm frustrated about it as well, or like try and not think about that. I'm not saying we can't have content creators in the program, because I don't think that's fair. We had it in the past, and I think it's been great and very successful. I think it's just that there are two different masters you're trying to serve at once, and that's like just a difficult thing to ask someone to do, honestly. Like, it's not a, man, I don't like the content creators and I don't want to give them feedback. Absolutely not. I've just talked this whole time about how we need great feedback and we need to listen to you guys. It is just that it's not ideal of a structure that I would say if I was building it from scratch and I could do whatever I want, I wouldn't say, hey, these guys should also be people who are talking to the community about stuff outside of this whole content, all this whole test program or something like that. So it's nothing personal. I just think it's hard.
No, it's
I'll
fair.
cry a little bit tonight. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. Again, that's not to say it's not possible, and that a select few may find their way in there in the future. But I wouldn't want to base an entire test program around just content creators.
Yeah.
Not only because I think it gets we want the test program to have a very wide set of people who they're talking to and like a much better snapshot of the community as opposed to just content creators. So I think they have great feedback and they have the great perspective, but it's only their perspective, right? And we need a broader swath of people to give feedback than that. And then the reasons I just mentioned of just like it's difficult for you guys to then make content around stuff as well when you know too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and
Well, if
again,
you're
it's
saying
not my question. I'm really good at playing dumb. I mean, that's pretty obvious. I mean, I've been doing it forever. It's nothing new. So anyway, that's a whole different story. Let's have a chat as well about stamina, conquest stamina.
Yeah.
Go
So
for it.
if you're saying there's at least like a chance, that content creators get added, you've saved me maybe about 5 minutes of crying tonight. But still speaking of crying conquest, is there a reason that stamina shouldn't be either reduced or removed from the Datacron nodes in conquest, just so we can just like farm them out as much as we want? It kind of hurts sometimes having to decide, like, if you're feat chasing, for like the conquest character, and then having to decide between using your energy for Datacron battles. Is there a way, like, maybe they could be reduced, cut in half, or removed, or just something to kind of ease that tension a little bit there?
And if your question if it's functioning correctly, yes, that is how the system is supposed to work right now.
Mm-hmm.
If your question is like, what should it look like? I think it goes back to, again, like, how do we balance those things out with like the amount of resources you're getting from different areas? But also the idea is that, when we were designing a lot of these, was that you can do a lot of those feats on those nodes, and we made it so the feats are a little more agnostic to, I can go and try these on different nodes, and I don't have to focus on one or the other, right? So there should be some overlap there. Again, like, devil's in the details, of course. Some of them are not, some of them are. And so we just got to hit that right balance where it doesn't feel too punitive to folks who are just trying to like balance that out. Because conquest is already requires a lot of you to balance like where you're going to spend your energy and your stamina and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot to think about that. So we want to make it, we want to again hit that right level of like, it's a challenge. Because if it was easy and it was too easy, then it wouldn't feel like it wouldn't work as an experience. So there's got to be a little bit of tension there to make it feel like, okay, I'm doing the right thing, I'm doing the smart stuff here. And also, like, we want to leave it open to people to figure out like what is the right combination of nodes they should be doing, and how they should be trying, what different characters they should bring into those battles to then try and solve those feats, right? Our players are smart and they know how to min-max all this stuff. So we want to give them those spaces to make sure we do that. But also, I don't think like removing stamina out of that would maybe change that whole equation too much, I think. So I'll never say never. Only Sith deal in absolutes, but it's not something that I've heard discussed anywhere of like, hey, let's remove stamina from those things. I don't think that's in the cards right now.
Yeah, no, there we go, straight up. All right, let's talk about our officers and our leaders. These guys do it voluntary in game. Our guild leaders and officers. It is an enormous task. An absolutely enormous task. The workload, especially at the top end, is absolutely insane. You've got people strategizing territory war 3-4 days in advance right now. I mean, a lot of them are already quite deep into planning. And a question came through from Drayton in our server during the week. Whilst the addition of Datacrons has added some new and interesting dynamics into kits and the meta, it's also added an increased complexity, which has put a large amount of extra pressure on territory war officers in this game. Do you have any plans to provide tools to help ease this pressure? Really, really interesting question. And I mean, again, every single officer and leader out there, kudos to you guys for doing what you do, because we all need them. But
salute to you guys.
Anything we can do to help them out. I mean, that's probably what people want to know. They're up against the wall at the moment, and with these bigger boards, the bigger zones now, of course, the more character slots per zones, there's just such a time crunch as it is, especially with all the different time zones where members are in. Makes it a heck of a lot harder to get through these boards. So, is there anything that you can think of that can be done to ease the pressure a bit on our boys trying to do the right thing to help others?
Yeah, I mean, I have the utmost respect for guild officers out there. My guild officers in my guilds, they work very hard to coordinate all this stuff, and it is a challenge. I mean, I think it comes back to what I was saying earlier around like the cognitive load that it's going to take for people to do this stuff, and it there should be a balance for that. Where right now we don't have any like plans to like release any quality of life features related to that, so we're kind of moving around the spectrum here of different stuff we want to focus on. Right now it's mods, but it's something that I talk about very frequently with the team is like, we have to not forget about our TW officers and our guild officers, because they do a lot of work to keep this whole system running. And the more we can help them out, it trickles down to so many more folks inside a guild, right? Like, I sympathize greatly. I wish I had a better answer for you on this one for sure, because I know it's a hard job. But yeah, right now, we don't have any like quality of life stuff in the pipeline that I'm aware of, at least, that would solve that. But maybe some changes to datacrons, maybe some other stuff that would allow some kind of lessening of that cognitive load and that mental load for folks, so they don't have to do the quite 4 days of work for every one of these. Maybe they can cut that down at least a little bit. So
all right. I'm sure they'd really appreciate it, mate, one way or another somehow. But it's definitely something on the agenda. My heart
goes out to you. You are not lost or forgotten. We've done a lot of little like brainstorming sessions just like with the team about what would a crazy feature be, like no questions about like cost to make or anything like that or anything, just like come up with a bunch of ideas and sit down with the team and do some stuff like that. And all of mine always focus on territory or on guild officer tools. I get messages from people all the time about guild officer tool ideas, and I think like there's some cool things we could do there. So whenever I get a chance, I'm escalating those ideas as much as I can, because I think about that all the time.
Yeah.
Cool. So hopefully one day.
Good to know that there's some love out there, because they certainly need all the help they can get, more than ever in this game right now. We got to move things along, because how much longer have we got you for, Crumb? I know that we're pushing,
I got maybe another 5-10 minutes here. I gotta run back to the baby, unfortunately.
Let's jump through a couple of quick ones. Let's do a rapid fire one grid. Can I drop 3 or 4 out, and I'll leave you with a few. Let's jump through this really quickly. First one here. Can we get voting back up, please, for new character ships coming in the game, Crumb? Yes or no? Possibility?
What do you mean by that? Sorry.
Well, there was a little while ago. There was a voting thrown out in the forums where you could vote for the character that you want in in a release for an event. I think capital ships.
For in an event. I thought you were talking about new characters. I don't think we've ever
well, that would be cool
too. New characters, because
that would be cool too. That would be cool too.
There's some challenges for that. But yeah, for events and things like that, for like the additive drops, the double drops and stuff like that. Yeah, it's something we'd like to bring back. I think I'll talk to Meat about it. I'm not quite sure where that landed or why that dropped off, but I don't think there's any reason why we couldn't keep doing that in the future. So
let me no worries. Let me roll through a couple of quick ones. That'd be great. Can we get a Wookiee faction tag, please? Enough furry people in the game now to make a Wookiee faction tag. Can it happen? That would be great.
I mean, we only add faction tags when there's a reason to do so. And I know there's a lot of tags in the game that are like, well, why is this tag here?
Like neutral?
There was neutral, is one of them. There's we had intentions to use that tag, and then we were, plans changed and we didn't use it in the end. I think that, for a Wookiee tag, why is the question? Like, why do you need a Wookiee tag? Is there a Wookiee faction? Do they have some sort of synergy? If there is in the future and we decide to go that direction, then yeah, we'd add a Wookiee tag. But until then, there needs to be some sort of impetus to doing that other than just like filling out that list with a bunch of extra tags that are useless.
Got it. Multiple choice question, my last one, and then Grid can ask a few. Who did you base the Jabba the Hutt Galactic Legend on? A. Heinze, B. Crumb, C. Dagger, or D. Heinze?
Ooh. Do I do an E, all of the above? Is that an option?
Grid, it's your turn, mate. It's your turn. That's enough said.
I'm going to throw out 2 quality of life ones real quick, and then a GAC one.
Okay.
For a quality of life question or possible suggestion, we get a screen that asks if we want to go into a battle with an undersized squad against a team. Can we get one as well for a Datacron if we don't have one put on? A little reminder.
Oh,
by the way, no Datacrons.
Yeah, I'll talk to the UX and UI folks around that. I don't know. There may be a reason for that. I don't know, but it's an interesting idea, and it might not be too hard to do. So let me make a note here on that one real quick. On like maybe we do something around that. Don't have an answer. Seems cool though.
Seems cool.
That'd be great.
Since you guys are doing a lot of the mods, you guys are obviously that's kind of the next, sort of thing that you guys are doing a lot of work on. A really simple one. Any plans for a mod cap increase? Or if not, suggestion, please give us a mod cap increase.
I think that's a hard one. I mean, because there's a lot of changes that are coming with mods in the next title update. I think ultimately the disposition that when I've talked to folks internally is that increasing the mod cap doesn't solve the problem. It actually makes it worse, because what happens is you hit the mod cap and then you want to go back and clear that out. Now that mod cap is bigger and you have to then go through more mods to then do that. And so the better solution for that is to make it so you can manage your mods much easier and to do that much faster, because you shouldn't need 250 spare slots for mods necessarily. Maybe you do need more. As the title update comes out, maybe there is a reason for that. But there should be like a much faster and more efficient way to get your mods at a constant level, or at your mod inventory at a constant level that's like you're not hitting that cap all the time. I think ultimately the mod cap increasing the mod cap doesn't actually solve the core issue, which is what we need to address. Like we keep putting band-aids on it every month when someone hits that next mod cap, because you can farm those mods very quickly, and you can easily, if we doubled it, you would just hit that mod cap X number of weeks down the line, and then okay, do we just keep increasing it over and over and over again? And now you have thousands of mods in that tiny little screen to go through. Like that seems like not a great experience. So we got to solve the core problem is what I'm trying to say out of that. Let's talk again when we get to the title update around mods, and let me see how you guys feel after that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Do we still have a minute?
Yeah, keep going.
Okay.
Go.
Hyper. Ships. Is there any chance we could get accelerated ship drop rates?
Again, that's an economy question. I'd have to talk to them. I don't know what's in the plans around that. But given that characters, definitely a possibility that we do that for ships sometime in the future. I don't know offhand whether that's planned or not. I just haven't heard anything about it. So
okay. And maybe? This will be my last one. My last one will be it's kind of a merge question of is there any chance of GP being used again in addition to a skill rating for a GAC, or generally speaking, can the GAC matchmaking be kind of honed in, maybe zoned in a little bit more to make some kind of fairer matchups for some people rather than just win-loss? Is there a way that we can make it a little bit more specific?
Interesting. I know that especially right after the release of the GAC, all those changes around the matchmaking, that they were like monitoring that super closely. I haven't followed up on that in a little while. Also, I went on paternity leave, and so I lost that thread of conversation. But I know that they were thinking like they wanted to potentially make some tweak the matchmaking in the future and make sure that it's you're getting the right matchups. Ultimately, if you're seeing someone who's like greatly outside of your GP range, it's probably because there's probably a good reason for that. Either they're not participating, or their skill level is very mismatched with yours, and you will still be able to beat them in some degrees, but like they shouldn't you shouldn't be seeing them consistently, right? Like if they're winning and they have a strong roster, they should be getting out of your way very quickly in that. And if they're not, we need to fix that for sure. So they're watching it. I haven't heard recently if there's been any big changes coming down the pipeline for that, but I'll definitely make a note here to look into that as well, because they definitely want to make sure that like you're matching with people that you're winning, about 50-50% of the time, right? Like you should feel that you have a good chance to win almost every matchup you have.
Yeah, that's fair. No, that's fair. All right, I've got two quick community
for a lot
questions.
of people, just throwing that out there.
Yeah. That's so. I know. The question is how much of those are outliers and how much of those is actually just like too much, right? So like I don't have a good answer for that. Like, it could be on either end of that spectrum. I just don't know. I haven't looked at it for a while.
Cool. Three more quick questions, community-based questions, and then we'll wind this up, Crumb, and we'll let you go back and do daddy duties. All right, quick one. Oh, I said daddy again. Right. Okay. First question is, are you getting any help, Crumb? Obviously, we know yourself and Meathead. Meathead's been obviously holding the fort for you while you've been on leave. Is there any extra staff in the Pipeworks? Are you looking at giving yourself some extra resources to help you do your job communicating with the community more going forward?
Yeah, definitely. We definitely want to keep expanding the community team. We're in the process of doing that right now. As I'm getting back up to speed with the team, we and especially with, rolling out Heroes of Middle-earth. We're in soft launch now, so there's obviously we want to have a dedicated team to Galaxy Heroes and a dedicated team for them. Even though there's some similarities between the game, there's a lot of like stuff that you'd say, they could probably just do both, right? Like, but don't forget these games are in very different parts of their life cycle, right? Like this Heroes of Middle-earth is in soft launch. Our game that we're talking about now has been out for many, many years, and so there's just requires a very different skill set and a different focus. So we want to make sure there's dedicated folks to both sides. I'm looking to try and hire a couple more folks here. So hopefully in the future, see what we can do. But as soon as I have an announcement for someone, I want to I can't spoil who we're talking to or anything like that, obviously for privacy reasons. But we're in talks. We're my people are talking to their people.
Don't hire a ranger. He drinks too much. Don't do that. Yeah. Just saying straight up. Don't do that. Okay.
Oh, he's not that bad a guy. Come on.
I'm kidding. All right, last one, and this was asked again by some people in chat, not me. Mate, we've been missing the creators versus developers speed gax. Any chance of one of them on the horizon at some point? Obviously with Doja, obviously stepping away, that was kind of his baby at the time. Is there any chance of bringing the speed gax back at some point soon? Because people are asking for it.
Yeah, it'd be a lot of fun. I had a blast doing them, and if I remember correctly, we destroyed you guys, and CG won that. But
you didn't. Whoa, you definitely didn't. Crumb.
I mean, the collective we.
No,
Heinze.
don't give me that collective. You finished last. We all know you finished last.
One person made it to the championship here, just for the record.
Yeah. And I still beat you as well, Grid, on the leaderboard. Let's remember that too. All right, let's move on. Sorry, Crumb. Another one coming or not? See the competitive juices.
I love to do more. I haven't thought about like the reason why we did also the speed gag was like, hey, it's a good opportunity to show off R9 and to talk about that stuff. It would be cool to try and figure out like when would be another reason to do another good speed gag. Is that around Datacrons? Is that around something else like that? It'd just be cool to, make sure that we have a reason for people to tune in and see something extra special around that, and maybe they haven't seen before. So probably if we do it again, it'll be a different structure. We'd like to kind of keep it dynamic and doing something different every time. It's just something I haven't had time to think about further, but we have the tools to do it. It's just like figuring out how we can coordinate all you nut jobs and having fun doing that. Cause it was seriously one of the most fun I've had playing this game in a long time. Like that was a real blast. Even though I did come in last, but
oh, good, mate. Hey, can I throw an idea out there? And it's only an idea. How about creators and developers actually just having a member of the public, just average Jobo player, one each, playing the speed gags live, something along those lines. That could be fun.
I'm definitely open to ideas of like different structures and different kinds of including people, because we also like want to broaden out this, like not the same group of people. We want to try and do these more, with different all different kinds of folks in their game. So if you got ideas, start floating them my way, man, because I'm definitely open to doing something fun with that, because it was I think like getting more people involved with that would be really fun. I know like the original idea, like a lot of people were asking for why we did GAC. They were like, oh, let's do a TW. And I'll tell you that I don't want to coordinate 100 people to show up on a certain day and play that. So like, if you do have any ideas, try and like keep the scale of my organizational skills down to like, 15, 20 people at most, because coordinating that many would be a nightmare.
Yes.
Again, shout out to our TW officers. Good on you guys.
We could do it over time, though. We could make a series over it. Wouldn't be all in one weekend or one day. We could do it. There's a lot of options for the structure. We could definitely do it over multiple days, or weeks, or months, or whatever. We could have a bracket or whatnot. There's different ways we could do it for sure. So there is nothing holding us back, is all I'm saying, for us doing that in the future, other than I just need to get a good idea together and we just start coordinating it. Let me know what your ideas are. Let's chat. I like it. Let's definitely do that, mate. Absolutely fantastic. Crumb, I know that you need to head off. It needs to go do daddy duties. It's great to have you here, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
He's never coming back now.
Look, first, we're going out on a high then. No, honestly, mate, we missed you. We did miss you around the place. It wasn't the same with you gone. For obvious reasons, we're absolutely thrilled for you, and it made perfect sense. But it is great to have you back on board. It really is. Talking to us again, because, it's been a little bit quiet for a little while now. It's been great to communicate directly with you guys about the game that we love. Sorry, Grid. Yeah, brother. Sorry.
Grid's got a question. You in the corner there with the hair?
Yeah. Sir. Can I ask a mean question super fast?
Is it about the picture behind me? Is that
no?
Because
shout
out to that guy, whoever. There's a MS Paint contest that apparently happened recently for Hot Utils or something along like that. And Gom sent this to me yesterday, and it is now my favorite thing ever. It's like I've just changed all my profile pictures to this. So, thanks whoever did this. Really amazing. The other ones as well. I saw someone was in the chat. They made a little icon for me, an animated icon for me in the chat there. That was hilarious that they were showing on stream yesterday. There it is, right there. Aldi did that. That was amazing. So sorry, derail that. Shout out to you. Thank you for making this image. I'm gonna make a shirt out of it because it's so good.
I was just gonna ask real quick. Are you gonna be in the game? Can we see Crumb in the game?
Well, I think you'll have to see as we get closer to Jabba what's going on with Crumb, but I am particularly interested in what happens around that, and I have been banging that drum for a long time to get certain Kawaki and Monkey Lizard into the game. So that would be. We'll see what comes of that. I would say there's a good chance.
Yeah, we got some news, maybe. YouTube thumbnail.
Good chance, maybe.
Up and about. There we go. So look out, Crumb coming to the game. There we go. The other Crumb, not this Crumb, because he's busy, putting out our spot fires that we keep lighting.
It would be hilarious if it's just a model of like me, the person, just like where Crumb would normally be, but just like wait, who's that guy? Why is he in the game there?
Behind Jabba with like a hood on or something?
Just a little hoodie on or something.
Is that Crumb?
Is that the guy with the mustache? What is he doing there? What the heck?
I now expect the kit release to have your head just photoshopped on the top of Jabba to the side there when the kit reveal comes out. That's what we want to see. Absolutely, be brilliant. Just a quick one, guys. Don't forget Extra Life. Putting it back in chat now. There's the link. Raising charity, of course, for UC Davis. Wasn't asked to be pimped. I'm doing it because that's the least we can do. Thank you again, Krim. Mate, good luck with everything. Of course, you'll be. I think you're streaming every week in the lead up over the next month or so, if I'm correct.
We're trying to again. Those daddy duties always make the challenge, but we're going to try and do at least once a week here and have some fun. We had a great time yesterday playing puzzle games and doing all sorts of weird stuff. But come join us. Come join a bunch of the folks who are from Capital Games who are going to be streaming. And thanks for letting us talk about that because it is a really great cause, and we love doing this every year. We raised over $62,000 so far for over the 5 years for Children's Miracle Network and specifically UC Davis Children's Hospital. So. Absolutely awesome cause, and said it goes to all like a local hospital near you. It's just really, really cool program. We've worked on help create a neonatal intensive care unit for babies that just didn't exist without our help. And I say our help, your guys' help, particularly the whole community is again here just super, super generous with their donations. So shout out to everyone who's done that and everyone who donates in my name. Just make sure I'm on top of everyone else if you could when you choose the donations. They got a little, just a little pride inside the studio. I got to make sure I keep up with appearances here. But make sure you spread your love to the other folks inside the studio as 50 so odd days from now. Really, really great cause. Seriously, thank you guys.
He just told you SB Crumb's coming to the game. Make sure he's at the top of the freaking list, people. All right, that's the deal. Straight up. All right, he's done his part. You do yours. Crumb, we'll let you go, mate. Have a great weekend. Thank you so much for joining us out of work
Thank
hours.
you so much for joining us
on a Friday night.
Always a pleasure, guys.
It's been absolutely brilliant. It's been great to touch it. We'd love to catch up again soon, of course, given the opportunity. Whenever
definitely.
we can make it work, it'd be great to have you back. Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, like I said, we're working on. I'm in the midst of a road ahead right now, and so maybe we'll have some fun news to talk about in the future here. So. We'll definitely chat again soon. I said it's a little ways out. We got some time to do the recording and get all this stuff approved and everything like that. But hopefully, the next couple months here, we'll have a road ahead, and we can maybe talk about it a little bit on the Heinzie Gridsey stream here.
Would love
before
to.
we go nuts.
Would absolutely love to. There we go. So we didn't hurt him too hard today, guys. We tried to be
Good
nice.
job, guys. I was on the blast here. We didn't get to do your GAC, and I didn't get to burn any of your teams this time. But I still appreciate you letting me join. So,
mate, we love you, brother. Thanks for being a part of it all. We really, really appreciate it. Thanks for being amazing. Have a great weekend.
Hey guys,
we'll leave you alone.
Have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you so much for having me again. Love you guys.
Thanks,
Take
man.
care.
Appreciate it.